The story begins quietly, without drama, without music swelling in the background. A father stands before his son and says almost nothing. He does not offer comfort, nor does he explain the weight of what he is about to give. In his hands is an old tape recorder, worn by time, ordinary in appearance, yet heavy with meaning. On it is carved a single sentence, short and vague, a sentence that sounds more like a riddle than guidance. The son listens, confused. He waits for an explanation, a lesson, a reason, but the father remains silent. Some words, he believes, are not meant to be understood immediately. They are meant to be lived. And so, without tears, without hesitation, the father sends his son away, placing him on a bus that leads not only to military service, but to a life that will test the very limits of human endurance. That son grows up in a world where the rules are written long before he has a chance to speak. He is born into a system that quietly decides who may rise and who must remain unseen. In the Navy of that era, skin color defines value. Black sailors are not encouraged to dream. They are instructed to obey. Even under the blazing sun, when the sea calls to those trained to dive, black men are told to wait, to stand aside, to accept restriction as fate. It is an unspoken law, enforced not by written orders, but by habit, silence, and fear. Most accept it, not because it is right, but because resistance appears useless. But this young man is different, not louder, not stronger in appearance, but unwilling to believe that destiny is something assigned by others. One day, when patience finally collapses under the weight of humiliation, he acts. He dives into the sea without permission, without approval, without asking whether he is allowed. It is a simple movement, yet it disrupts an entire order. What shocks everyone is not his defiance, but his ability. He swims with speed and precision no one expects. The men sent to retrieve him cannot keep up. In that moment, the sea does not care about color or status. It responds only to skill and will. This is not a victory yet. No applause follows. No doors open immediately. But something irreversible happens. A truth is revealed, even if no one dares to speak it aloud. Talent exists where prejudice insists it should not. And deep within the young man, a realization takes root. He may not understand his father's words, but he begins to sense their direction. Life, he learns, will not explain itself in advance. Meaning comes later, after struggle, after loss, after choosing to move forward when remaining still feels safer. As the bus once carried him away from home, the sea now carries him toward a future he cannot yet name, but refuses to abandon. The Navy welcomes him, but only on the surface. Behind the uniform and the promise of opportunity lies a structure carefully arranged to remind him of his place. When assignments are handed out, his name is not spoken with expectation, but with limitation. He is sent to the kitchen, not because he lacks ability, but because the system has already decided how far a man like him is allowed to go. In this world, skill is secondary to appearance, and potential is buried beneath routine. Cooking, cleaning, serving. These are not stepping stones here. They are ceilings. No one explains this openly. There are no speeches about inequality, no written orders declaring discrimination. Instead, it lives in glances, in laughter that lingers too long, in the quiet understanding that some doors are not meant to be touched. Many before him have learned to survive by shrinking themselves, by accepting that dignity must sometimes be traded for stability. But he does not possess the talent of surrender. Every command he follows, every meal he prepares, carries a silent resistance. He watches the sea through narrow windows, aware that his place is deliberately far from it. Everything changes the day disaster strikes. A sudden accident throws the ship into chaos, and trained divers are needed immediately. He witnesses something that reshapes his vision forever. A senior officer, the chief diver, prepares to enter the water without hesitation, knowing the risk, accepting the pressure, choosing duty over safety. This man is not loud. He is not dramatic. He is precise, disciplined, and fearless in a way that cannot be taught. When the diver returns, injured yet alive, the cost of mastery becomes visible. Greatness, he realizes, demands sacrifice. In that moment, the kitchen disappears. The insults fade. A single thought forms with absolute clarity. This is not admiration. It is alignment. He does not wish to be equal. He wishes to be excellent. From that day forward, the idea of becoming a diver is no longer a dream. It becomes a commitment. He begins writing letters, dozens of them. He sends applications to diving schools, to training programs, to any office that might listen. None reply. Silence becomes routine. Years pass, and rejection arrives not in words, but in absence. Yet he continues, not because he believes success is guaranteed, but because stopping would mean agreeing with the system that defined him as lesser. Then, change arrives slowly, imperfectly. Official rules begin to shift. Desegregation enters the language of policy, even if not the hearts of men. An opportunity appears, fragile and uncertain, but real. He is allowed to apply again. Allowed, not welcomed. The system does not collapse. It adjusts just enough to appear fair. As he steps forward, he understands something crucial. The greatest obstacle ahead is not the ocean, nor the training, nor the danger. It is the invisible resistance of a system that will test him not to improve him, but to exhaust him. And yet, he moves forward anyway, because by now, the words his father never explained are no longer silent. They are shaping him from within. Training does not begin with instruction. It begins with isolation. From the moment he steps into the diving school, the message is unmistakable. He is not here to be shaped. He is here to be tested until he leaves. The stairs are colder than the water. Conversations stop when he enters the room. Beds around him remain empty, not by accident, but by choice. In a place built on teamwork, loneliness becomes his first trial. No one needs to say it aloud. He understands clearly. This world would be more comfortable if he disappeared. The drills are relentless. Breath control exercises stretch beyond safety into cruelty. Cold water floods his lungs without warning. Sleep is interrupted, not for discipline, but for humiliation disguised as training. Every mistake is magnified. Every success is ignored. The goal is not to improve his performance, but to erode his resolve. The system assumes that pressure will eventually force retreat. It has worked before, but endurance is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, stubborn, and unyielding. He does not argue. He does not beg. He absorbs everything in silence. When mocked, he lowers his eyes. When pushed, he steadies his breath. He understands something his tormentors do not. Pain, when accepted without surrender, loses its authority. Fear, when faced repeatedly, grows tired. The true test arrives without ceremony. A challenge is proposed, framed as training, but meant as exposure. A breath-holding trial against a superior officer. A man with status, experience, and authority. The expectation is simple. He will fail. He will panic. He will confirm every assumption made about him. On the surface, it is a contest of lungs and endurance. Beneath it, It is a demand for submission. They descend into the water together. Time stretches. The body protests. Muscles tighten. Vision blurs at the edges. Every instinct screams for air. The officer begins to struggle, subtle at first, then undeniable. Still, he remains motionless. His face reveals nothing. Seconds pass that feel endless. When the surface is finally broken, the result shocks everyone watching. He does not win by dominance. He wins by refusal to quit. Respect enters the room quietly. Not applause, not celebration, but hesitation. For the first time, those around him are forced to reconsider. Not their beliefs, perhaps, but their certainty. He is not removed. He is not praised, but he remains. Endurance does not grant fairness. It earns survival. The environment does not soften. If anything, the resistance becomes more precise. Yet, something irreversible has occurred. He has proven that he cannot be erased through pressure alone. In a world that wanted him gone, he stays. Not because he is welcomed, but because his will no longer asks for permission to exist. The final test is presented as routine, almost casual, as if nothing significant is at stake. The task is simple in theory. Descend, locate the tools, assemble the equipment, and return. There is no time limit, no rush, no drama. For most trainees, it is the moment where training ends and qualification begins. For him, it is something else entirely. When his turn arrives, he senses the shift before it happens. The tools are released into the water, but not intact. They scatter, drifting away into the sand like fragments of intention. Nothing is said. No order is violated. Yet the message is unmistakable. He has been set up to fail. He descends anyway. The water closes above him, sealing off sound, light, and distraction. Down there, the world becomes narrow and absolute. Breath, movement, focus. Minutes pass, then hours. The cold begins to creep into his limbs, dulling sensation, slowing response. Each movement requires deliberate effort. Each decision must be correct. Panic would end everything. He knows this, so he moves slowly, carefully, gathering what others would abandon. Piece by piece, from the sand, from the dark, from places no one expected him to reach. Above the surface, trainees finish and return. One by one, they remove their gear and leave. Time stretches into something unfamiliar. Concern replaces indifference. Officers begin to watch the water more closely. Some expect him to surface, defeated. Others expect nothing at all. But he does not come up. Beneath the sea, his body trembles, muscles tighten, fatigue presses into his bones. Still, he continues, not because he believes he will be rewarded, but because stopping would erase everything he has endured. Hours pass. The sun begins to lower. The water grows colder, heavier. His hands move more slowly now, but they do not stop. He assembles the final pieces with care that borders on reverence. When the last connection locks into place, there is no celebration, only completion. He signals. The line tightens. Slowly, he rises. When he breaks the surface, the silence is complete. 9 hours and more have passed beneath the sea. His face is drained of color. His body shakes uncontrollably. No one speaks. They are not witnessing success as they understand it. They are witnessing something harder to define. Endurance without spectacle. Resolve without anger. A refusal to disappear. In that moment, the test ends. Not because time expired, but because purpose was fulfilled. He has done what was demanded. and more than was expected. He does not look for approval. He does not raise his head in triumph. He simply stands, supported by hands that once would not touch him. The sea releases him, but the lesson remains. Some victories are not about speed or strength. They are about staying where others would leave. Becoming a hero does not arrive with celebration. It arrives with cost. After earning his place among the divers, his service continues in silence, far from applause. Missions follow one another, each demanding precision, patience, and calm under pressure. He performs his duty as he always has, without complaint, without expectation of reward. Recognition remains limited, promotion slow, respect conditional. Yet he does not waver. For him, the work itself has meaning. The sea does not judge. It only responds to competence. Then comes the mission that changes everything. A critical operation unfolds beneath the surface, one that carries weight far beyond the individual. The risk is immense, the margin for error non-existent. He descends once more, focused, controlled, aware that every movement matters. The task is completed, but fate intervenes without warning. An accident occurs, a violent impact. Pain explodes through his body, sharp and immediate. He is brought back to the surface injured, his leg damaged beyond recovery. Doctors speak gently, but their message is final. His diving career is over. Survival is the priority now. Preservation, not ambition. For most, this would be the end of the story. A hard truth accepted, a chapter closed with dignity. But he listens differently. He hears not only what is said, but what is assumed. That a man is defined by what remains intact. That loss must equal surrender. He refuses that equation. The decision he makes is not dramatic, but it is absolute. If the damaged limb cannot carry him forward, it will not hold him back. Amputation is chosen, not out of desperation, but determination. The choice shocks those around him. They see limitation. He sees adaptation. The pain that follows is relentless. Rehabilitation is slow, humiliating, and unforgiving. Each movement must be relearned. Balance becomes a daily battle. Progress is measured in inches, not miles. Still, he trains. He falls. He rises. He falls again. Blood stains the floor. Frustration tightens around his chest. Doubt whispers that enough has already been proven, that he has earned rest. But rest feels too much like retreat, and retreat has never been his language. The world calls him a hero now. The title is spoken with pride, with admiration, with distance. But the title does not ease the pain. It does not strengthen the prosthetic. It does not shorten the nights when sleep refuses to come. Heroism, he learns, is not a shield. It is a responsibility to continue, to embody what others celebrate without understanding. The price of becoming a hero is not paid once. It is paid repeatedly, in moments no one sees. And he pays it willingly, because the path behind him no longer exists. Only forward remains. The final battle is not fought in the ocean. It takes place in a room filled with uniforms, authority, and quiet judgment. No waves crash here. No depth gauges tick downward. Instead, there are eyes that measure worth and voices that question possibility. He stands before them, older now, marked by years of service and a body that carries the record of every sacrifice. One leg is artificial. The doubt in the room is not hidden. It is assumed. A diver, they believe, must be whole, and he is not. He listens as they speak about standards, about limitations, about what is realistic. None of it is cruel. None of it needs to be. The language of exclusion has learned to sound reasonable. When it is his turn to answer, he does not argue philosophy. He does not demand sympathy. He asks only for the chance to be tested by the same measure as anyone else. Not lowered, not adjusted, equal. The challenge is set. A new diving suit, heavier than anything before it. 12 steps forward. No assistance, no compromise. It is a task few men complete under ideal conditions. For someone like him, the expectation is failure. He accepts without hesitation, because he has lived long enough to understand that destiny does not wait for permission. As the suit is secured, weight presses down like memory itself. He rises slowly, every muscle tightening to maintain balance. The first steps are controlled. Pain is present, but familiar. By the middle steps, strain becomes visible. The prosthetic begins to protest under pressure it was never designed to bear. Sweat runs into his eyes. Breathing grows heavy. Each step forward feels like a negotiation between will and collapse. The room remains silent. No one interrupts. No one assists. By the final steps, the cost is undeniable. His body shakes. His face tightens against pain that no title can erase. Yet, he moves. One step, then another. When the final step is placed, the sound is not applause, but recognition. The room understands something has shifted. He stands, not victorious in the traditional sense, but undeniable. The decision that follows is no longer about policy. It is about truth. Destiny is not written by those who observe from a distance. It is claimed by those willing to pay its price in full. Years later, his story will be told as inspiration, as proof. But in this moment, there is only completion. The words his father once left unexplained are no longer mysterious. They have become a principle lived without compromise. Sincerity, endurance, and purpose have guided him where permission never would. Destiny, he has proven, is not given. It is taken. 14's 27. 14's destiny.